Zion Williamson on the way out from the New Orleans Pelicans. He's predicted to be the next star to ask for a trade. We're going to take a look at what that could look like. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, we've talked a bit about Zion Williamson maybe leaving New Orleans, but I don't know if I would have predicted that he'd be the next player to ask out. We were joking before we came on the air here that maybe it'd be the other way around, that the Pelicans would try to trade Zion before he would ask for a trade.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. That frankly, that was what the indication was when this was talked about last year, is that maybe they'd be the ones kind of, looking into that. But I assume that, this would ultimately be something where both sides agree to work it out. And that was the whole thing with the Dumars signing and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's certainly interesting that Zion could potentially be the one that says, you know what, get me out of here.
Well, this is via ESPN. Their experts made their predictions for the upcoming season, and they had 10 of their experts voted, the most votes by a decent amount, that Zion Williamson would be the next superstar to ask for a trade, followed by Giannis Antetokounmpo, just 7 votes, 6 votes from LeBron James. We talked about that the other day. By the way, if you guys want to take a look at that video, came out yesterday, 5 superstar trades to watch for this coming season. Ja Morant, and then Trae Young. But Zion Williamson topping the list here. Joe Dumars now the main decision maker there in New Orleans. And the word initially was that he was being brought in to trade Zion Williamson, but said he wants to give this another shot and wants to try to make things work with Zion. Obviously, ESPN doesn't believe that it's ultimately going to work out between Zion and the Pelicans. So let me ask you this, Donnie, at this stage, with how good, but also how unavailable Zion can be, are the Pelicans getting anything back for him in a trade?
If they were to trade him right now, no, nothing at all. Like they'd get something to make the trade happen.
Are we talking just cap relief or something?
Yeah, maybe some loosely protected assets, things like that. Certainly nothing worth his stature as a number 1 overall pick and potential, nothing like that. Like it wouldn't be anything I think that's worth trading him for. Like if I was presented with the offers I'm thinking about, I decline that.
Less than Mikal Bridges got.
Oh, that. I mean,
by first.
I mean, he's not even if he is Zion, is he getting all that? Like, I don't know.
Think so.
I think that was an extreme outlier. Maybe, what's another crazy outlier is the Rudy Gobert one, but
yeah.
Things kind of normalized a bit after that, aside from the Bridges thing. But yeah, so yeah, nothing like that. I wouldn't trade him because I don't think they're going to get anything crazy that I think he'd be worth.
Now, there are protections. Obviously, you've got a lot of non-guaranteed money here on Zion Williamson's contract, but nobody wants to trade for Zion and wind up losing him wind up just waiving him and taking his money off the books. Teams that are going to trade for Zion, they're going to give up stuff to get Zion. They're going to want Zion. They want Zion to be Zion. He is absolutely phenomenal when he's out there on the court. The problem is the availability. I mean, my God, 30 games last season. I know the Pels hit tank mode and all that, but 30 games last season. But then when he played, 25 points per game, 7 boards, 5.3 assists, 57% from the field, back-to-back seasons of 57% from the field, 61% the season before that.
He's so good, man.
He is so good. He's so efficient around the rim. He's so effective. The man is a dynamite athlete. He is so unique the way he plays out there on the court. But man, if you're going to take the chance, if you're going to be that team to trade for Zion, you got to have some guts. You got to have some, like that GM making that trade for Zion Williamson is either going to extend their career or perhaps end it. And you're rolling the dice on Zion Williamson,
depending on what it is, right? Because if you're able to pull off that trade with what I was thinking earlier, then there's no downside to that. I think, unless you're giving up like a player that is really really good that you project to be good in the future. Which, if you're New Orleans, like I said, I don't think you trade Zion at a low for scraps. I think you try to get into the season, which was my greater point. You get into the season, see how he looks, and try to trade him then. Even if he requests a trade, which is the point of today's video, I think you just say, yeah, no, we're not doing this now, because that makes it even worse. If he comes out and outwardly ask for a trade, that just makes it worse, because it'd be like, okay, he's already disgruntled. You're going to get less for that. People know he wants to go. You're going to get low ball offers. So I think if you're in New Orleans, regardless, you just take it into the season and see what you can do. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to be out there more than 30 games.
Is he going to be in shape?
he was pretty good to end the season, but he's got some work to do.
He looked. There was a picture of him from a couple weeks ago. He looked like he had been enjoying his summer.
He got a little work to do. Yeah, he could get in shape. Let's check back in around like November. We'll see how he looks. Like let him get into the season. Maybe he was one of those guys that plays his way into shape. You know, still a couple more months in the offseason anyway, so we'll see. But yeah, I think you maybe would be better off doing that with Zion ultimately, because I don't want to sell him low. But go back to the stats for him overall. Like, he is so ridiculously good. And if you're a team acquiring Zion, you said you have to have a very high confidence that this is going to work out if you're going to pull a trade for Zion. But I mean, this is Zion basically at his floor. And that's with availability and all that stuff. This is him at his floor. He's doing all this in an average of 31 minutes a game. Like, this guy, there's something serious here. It's just, is he going to live up to it? And every time we talk about this, and it never fails, every time we talk about this, there is a lot of comments that are super down on Zion. And I understand why, because he hasn't shown it yet. He hasn't shown the ability to consistently be out there, be healthy. And who knows if it ever will click. But if it does click, and maybe just a change of scenery is needed, but if it does click, this guy is legit, man.
Oh, I mean, when he's on the floor, he is who we hoped he would be. That is so exciting. He is who we hoped he would be when he's out there. He is a breathtaking athlete, does stuff on a nightly basis that very few other players, if any, in the NBA can do. He's absolutely phenomenal. The problem is the availability. So now we do see a little bit of a back and forth here in terms of his availability. Like, he played 70 games 2 seasons ago, 30 games this past season. So are we on the upswing here? And that brings me to, if you are, let's say Zion believes that his best situation is going to be somewhere else. It's not in New Orleans, and he needs to be moved. And he goes to the Pelicans and he asks for a trade. You're saying right now to trade him would be trading low. But what if you get a healthy season out of Zion, and around February, the beginning of the trade, the first week of the trade deadline there, then you look to move him after, let's say let's say he misses, I don't know, between October and the last week of January, he misses 4 games, right? Like, that's phenomenal for Zion Williamson, right? Let's say he does that. If you're New Orleans and Zion would prefer to be somewhere else, is that your moment? Do you seize the opportunity right then and throw him out there on the market?
You may even be able to go up until like New Year's, I think. I don't know if you need to go all the way to the deadline, but if you could go into New Year's and he's looking really good, looking really healthy, able to play a good number of games. I don't know if 4 at the deadline is realistic, but let's say, 8, something like that, 10 even. I'd bet on that. I'm not really mad at that, given he played 30 games 2 of the last 3 seasons. Like, I wouldn't be too mad at him missing, 15 games on a year. But yeah, I think if you get to a point later around like New Year's or into the deadline and he's looking like you would want him to be, it's almost bittersweet because you would want to keep him at that point.
Exactly. That's the hard part.
But if he wants out, right? And then maybe, here's the thing, maybe you'd be hedging your bets here because of the yo-yo of availability. Because maybe he's going to be good that season, and then after that goes right back.
Like, if you're the Pelicans, you would have to remind yourself, like, hey, he wants out. If we're living in a world where, as ESPN is predicting, Zion is going to ask out, you would have to remind yourself, like, okay, we've seen this guy dominate for the last few months, but let's remember there's a downside to this, and it's coming soon. Let's just get this done. I mean, let's put it this way, Donnie. If, let's say that we had a crystal ball and we could see into the future, and we knew that every single year Zion Williamson would play exactly 65 games. Exactly 65 games every single year. So that's a big chunk of the season he's missing, but he's going to hit 65 games. What would his trade value be?
I think it would be pretty. It would be worthy of being a number 1 overall pick, like 25 point per game guy. I think teams are biting on 65 games consistently.
That's how good he is.
I think teams are biting on that. I think that's one of the situations where literally almost everybody is calling for him.
Missing 17 games a season.
I'm not mad at that.
And teams would be thrilled to get about that. That's how injury prone he's been, how many games he's missed, that even 65 games, I think his trade value
I
would
think
be
you could
through
go
the
to
roof.
60, to be honest.
Even 60?
If you could promise 60 games, which is like, it's crazy because that's kind of a low bar, but if you could promise 60 games every year, I'm not terribly mad at that either.
Yeah,
Maybe
you're
you
talking about missing
remove something.
25% of the season.
Maybe you remove
And I
something
don't
from the
think you're
table.
wrong.
Maybe you take a pick off the table. But like I wouldn't. He's just that good, right? And the potential to get better is still there. Obviously, it's not like he's capped out.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where it's interesting. Now, I don't know if he'll ever develop the missing piece in his game, which is that 3-point shot, but he's one of those guys where he's just such an unstoppable force that you can't stop him from getting to where he wants to go. And he showed real development over the last couple of seasons with his ball handling and playmaking to where you can play him more as an on-ball player. He's super duper good in the pick and roll as well as the ball handler, and he gets to his spots great. And so like that game there is just, I think, one that you can really build around. You put some good athletes around him, shooting around him. I think you could have like a Giannis type situation. Now they're different because sizes and health of Giannis and all that stuff relative to Zion, but I think you could have something very similar if you were to build around Zion and he's healthy.
Now, who should, if Zion is healthy, let's say Zion makes it clear he wants out of New Orleans, that forces the Pelicans' hand. And they ultimately decide, you know what, we were kind of on the fence this summer anyway. Joe Dumars reportedly talked us into giving this another go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move Zion. He's healthy, right, through January. He's healthy. Mid-January, let's say, the Pelicans are seriously looking at trades. Who should be on the other end of that phone calling the Pelicans?
I'm going to answer this. Go back to the other page.
Yeah.
I want you to pull up the Zion per 36 because I'm just like super enamored by the minutes he plays and the production he does.
The per 36. Oh
yeah, the
God.
per 36 because it's gonna be through the roof.
What?
Look at 30.
Do you even want him playing 36 minutes a night?
That was the reason I was gonna bring that up, is because I was gonna say the only counterpoint to my argument is, does he cap out as a guy that can only play like 30 minutes a night?
Tops.
I wonder about that. Like, that could be a thing, and that's not the worst thing because he produces like crazy. But and then in the playoffs, you can put him in the high 30s. Like, I think that could be really good. His per 36, as imagined, is pretty crazy, especially the shorter volume of games last season.
31, 9, and 7. Everybody is this. If you're listening on the podcast, by the way, guys, you can check out the podcast feed. The link is in the description down below. But 31, 9, and 7 with 1.6 steals. That steals number is insane, and 1.1 blocks. Like, that's absurd.
Like, I just wonder if he caps out as that. Also, really quick, he was an all-star in 22-23, and he played 29 games that year. What the heck happened there? Like, I got to go back and see what happened.
I'd have to go back and look. He must have played the 29 games leading up to the all-star break.
Yeah, or maybe
just missed a chunk. Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe he got injured after being selected already and still has it on his thing. Anyway, Lakers. Could you imagine him with Luka? That would be disgusting if they're out there healthy and able to play. Him with Trey would be really good. I'd like that a lot. I really like him alongside like a primary playmaker type. Like that. Him in, I think,
somebody that can get him the ball on the wing with a head of steam to it, where he can just be the juggernaut. And
even though I spent time saying he's really good at doing it himself,
he is.
Miami would be a interesting spot for him. Maybe they could get him in shape with all their strict stuff and
with the heat culture stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're super strict about that stuff, like with the body fat percentage and stuff. Maybe with the structure from Miami, he'd be able to get his best version of himself.
Yeah, is that what matters? Like, what matters more here, the team around Zion or the culture of the organization?
Maybe the latter.
It might be for Zion, just because his overall, we talk about his weight and all that kind of stuff, just because I do think I'm not a doctor or anything, but I do think some of the injury issues we've seen are weight related. He is so explosive. Just
the joints aren't meant to take that type of pounding from that weight. He's too explosive to be that big weight wise, like, because he's only like 6'6". 6'5", 6'6", but he jumps out the gym, but he weighs like 300 pounds.
So
like,
is New Orleans like the worst place for him to be? All those
that was the argument,
and everything?
Right? That was the argument. Like, he's over there, he's just having too much, calories in New Orleans. That's what they said. Get him out of there. They got that home cooking too, man. Get him out of there, man. But yeah, I think a team with good culture, especially around, your own fitness, like Miami, could be a really good spot for him. Does Philly call him?
Oh God. Who plays more games next season, Embiid or Zion?
I think Zion's a pretty safe bet. I think
Zion
Zion is
plays
a
more
pretty
than
safe bet. Especially because Embiid, like, who knows, he's not playing the back-to-backs. He's going to take his time.
Yeah.
And Embiid may mess around and play like 30, 40 games next year, as far as I know.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
yeah, I think Zion's a pretty safe bet. But a team like that, and the teams that would want him, but I wouldn't, for his own well-being, I wouldn't trade him there, are teams like Charlotte. Not that I have anything against Charlotte. I think he'd be really good with LaMelo. I just don't think that that's the right culture. I don't know that they're ready yet to have Zion on that team. It's just too many young guys, in my opinion. That's just the way I see it. Team like Washington as well. I don't know that they're ready to play serious basketball, and I would prefer for Zion to go somewhere that is.
Now, what if we link him to the Jonathan Kuminga situation?
Oh yeah, we talked about that off camera. We talked about it the other day. In that situation, maybe you do want Jonathan Kuminga if you're in New Orleans. If you don't have the Zion piece anymore,
if Zion's not there, Jonathan Kuminga makes some sense.
Yeah, you could maybe make that argument for sure. But in that case,
it's the bait and switch. The Warriors are reportedly after Trey Murphy.
Yeah, exactly.
And New Orleans can say, how about Zion instead? But then how does he play with Draymond and everything?
Yeah, he'd be going to that wouldn't be great. You'd have the exact same. In fact, it'd be worse. The spacing concerns, because Zion just flat out shoots the ball like negative from three. He doesn't take any. But I mean, the ceiling is higher. And I think, unlike Jonathan, you have a for sure guy that you could pivot to after Steph. Like, they wanted Jonathan to be that guy. They talked him up as being that a couple years ago. They don't know if he can be, but they're never going to find out at this point. But they know for sure Zion could be, if he's out there and healthy, hypothetically.
You know who would trade for him and give up way too much?
Sacramento.
Oh,
they'd love him.
Sacramento would do it. Sacramento would do it, and then it would not work out at all. Oh, I don't want that for Zion.
What about San Antonio? That could be another good culture spot for him.
Man, San Antonio, that's the scary one, right? Like Wemby and Zion together.
Yeah, that could be that could be a really good spot for him.
I mean, just go ahead and sign up the Marvel licensing deal right now and cast Wemby as Mr. Fantastic and Zion as the Thing, and off we go.
Do they get a Sue Storm?
I'm sure they could. We can figure that out.
We're getting off the rails here, but I think San Antonio would be a good spot for him. Like I was saying, if for no other reason, I think he'd fit fine, especially because Wemby is so perimeter oriented. But if for no other reason than just culture wise, I think that's the main thing for me.
Yeah, man.
But I prefer for him to just stay in New Orleans and see how it looks. I think they're better this season, and if they're healthy, which I would assume they will be, because last year has to be an extreme outlier, I think they could be a pretty solid team. It's just, if they were in the Eastern Conference, I'd feel much more comfortable with them. It's just they're in the West, and it's just so crowded.
Well, maybe they will be in the East in the near future.
Five teams are going to be arguing.
Once we get expansion, they're going to be fighting.
Yeah, they're going to be fighting. Five teams are going to be fighting over that, man. I don't know if it'd be them, but I think the West teams would be all right with them going.
I think the West teams would be preferring that the Pelicans stay and like the Wolves leave or something like that.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, get the Wolves out. Yeah.
Somebody's got to go east. Somebody's got to. The Pelicans will be hoping it's
the
them.
Wolves would be begging to go east.
Oh, it's going to be the Wolves, the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans are going to be fighting it out to see which team gets to go to these. They may just redraw the whole thing. That's a whole other topic for another day, but they may redraw the whole thing. If we do see this come to pass, as ESPN is predicting, Zion Williamson requesting a trade from the New Orleans Pelicans, it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out, because again, if he was playing 65 games a season, even 60 games a season on average, teams would be tripping over themselves to get him. But the injury thing throws so much into question. I think you'd have to be very careful, make sure you're putting him into the right team, the right culture, the right structure around him. You've got the right pieces on the floor around him, but man, he has so much talent. One of the riskiest players to go after in the NBA. And if ESPN is right, we could very well be talking Zion trades here this season. That's exciting for this coming season, Donnie.
Yeah, I just remembered the game where they played the Lakers a couple games back to back to end the season, then last game and then the play-in game. And he was just so good until he got hurt at the end of that second game. They just didn't have an answer for him.
That's part of why the Lakers won, was Zion was off the floor for the last couple of minutes there.
Yeah, just no answer for the guy. Yeah. It didn't matter what you did. He was getting in his spot, and he was just going to score. Like, you can't stop him. And I think that's one thing that really needs to be stated, because people are going to, like I said, just talk down on him. But that's a legit superpower. Like that, the fact he can get wherever he wants, whenever he wants, and you can't do anything about it. The top 3 guys in this list all have that superpower right here. And they've all, aside from Zion, the other 2 guys have made really good careers out of it. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see what happens with Zion, but I think there's still a lot left here.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody, let us know in the comment section what you think would happen should Zion Williamson request a trade. Where would he wind up? What is the best landing spot for him? Don't forget to subscribe right here to the channel as well. Check out the podcast feed. Use the link in the description down below. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.